Defoe, Robinson Crusoe, Part 68. Because I did not know when was the proper time for it, so I thought about 2/3 of the seed, leaving about a handful of each. It was a great comfort to me afterwards that I did so, for not one grain of what I thought this time came to anything. For the dry month following, the earth having had no rain after the seed was sown, it had no moisture to assist its growth, and never came up at all till the wet season had come again, and then it grew as if it had been but newly sown. Finding my first seed did not grow, which I easily imagined was by the drought, I sought for a moister piece of ground to make another trial in, and I dug up a piece of ground near my new bower and sowed the rest of my seed in February, a little before the vernal equinox, and this having the rainy month of March and April to water it, sprang up very pleasantly and yielded a very good crop, but having part of the seed left only, and not daring to sow all that I had but a small quantity at last, my whole crop not amounting to above half a peck of each kind. But by this experiment I was made master of my business, and knew exactly when the proper season was to sow, and that I might expect two seed times and two harvests every year. While this corn was growing, I made a little discovery which was of use to me afterwards. As soon as the rains were over and the weather began to settle, which was about the month of November, I made a visit up the country to my bower, where, though I had not been some months, yet I found all these things just as I left them. The circle or double hedge that I had made was not only firm and entire, but the stakes, which I had cut out of some trees that grew thereabouts, were all shot out and grown with long branches, as much as a willow tree usually shoots the first year after lopping its head. I could not tell what tree to call it that these stakes were cut from. I was surprised and yet very well pleased to see the young trees grow, and I pruned them and led them up to grow as much alike as I could. And it is scarce credible how beautiful a figure they grew into in 3 years, so that though the hedge made a circle of about 25 yards in diameter, yet the trees, for such I might now call them, soon covered it, and it was a complete shade, sufficient to lodge under all the dry season. This made me resolve to cut some more stakes and make me a hedge like this, in a semicircle round my wall, I mean that of my first dwelling, which I did, and placing the trees or stakes in a double row at about 8 yards distance from my first fence. They grew pleasantly and were at first a fine cover to my habitation, and afterwards served for a defense also, as I shall observe in its order. I found now that the seasons of the year might generally be divided not into summer and winter as in Europe, but into the rainy seasons and the dry seasons, which were generally thus: the half of February, the whole of March, and the half of April rainy, the sun being then on or near the equinox. The half of April, the whole of May, June, and July, and the half of August dry, the sun being then to the north of the line.